Ah crap, not again. Today we're looking at the Panel of Takeoff version 2, WinWing's refinement on their previous design. As always, full disclosure, I was sent the unit for free for the purposes of review. Right off the bat we had an issue, but this time it's FedEx's fault. To the packing's credit, it's well protected inside with no signs of damage sustained. Inside the box, the mounting bracket and PTO2. But it does not include a desk mount. In its absence, you're reliant on adhesive pads, which I really wouldn't recommend for most people. Pick up a desk mount along with it, as you'll really struggle without securing it. The desk mount, however, is a little fiddly even so, requiring a spanner to properly tighten, after which it hangs further off the desk edge than I think it needs to or would like, making the whole unit feel quite large. The bracket also extends over the edges and top or bottom. This is the price for using a generic bracket and desk mount that is of course compatible with all of WinWing's recent panel products rather than being bespoke. Back to the panel, it's a truncated Hornet cockpit, a compact flight utility panel. This is one of those optional bits of hardware I'd really recommend looking into if you're serious about your flight sims, saving you from fumbling with a mouse, giving greater control over your aircraft without controls paralysis. Unlike the previous design, it's now injection molded plastic. It feels strong. There's no give or panel looseness, being overall well built, with better form, albeit plastic rather than metal, all nicely detailed and even backlit. It connects via a standard USB from the back USB-C port. The switches are overhauled, having many guarded or pull controls. The gear and hook are both free position lift locked levers, with a caution to handle with care, something FedEx could have taken to heart. They both have a little play to them, but both very functional nonetheless. Being both Hall effect sensors, they should have a long life, so not a serious concern. The backs are hollowed out a bit, making in particular the hook less enjoyable to the touch on the back. I had hoped for the emergency gear extension position too, but this is missing, not properly replicating the Hornet's landing gear controls, but it's also a command I've never actually used. New, we have a proper parking brake handle. Sadly, it's not one-to-one with the sim, but rather a momentary alternative, making it widely compatible. It's got push, pull, and rotation inputs, although not in combination. Perfect for just about any aircraft, and my favourite part of the panel as it works incredibly well. The wing fold is also custom modelled, but it's the only lever without Hall sensors, instead a free position rotary switch with push. This also overlaps with the hook, but realistically that'll never be down at the same time as the wings folded. This is sadly the worst of the controls. It has a lot of play and is not securely attached. Coupled with how exposed it is to potential accidents, I'm rather disappointed in this one. The standard switches are heftier than the older design with custom metal tops uniquely keyed, mostly matching the real bit, letting you navigate by feel, something I strongly appreciate, having even 3D printed my own for their older design. A minor quibble, however, their landing light switch doesn't match, but it is still unique, so VR and use by touch is still very practical here. Additionally, the anti-skid is lift protected unlike the others. The side-guarded refueling probe switch has also snuck in too, again pretty darn useful. Jettison controls are realistically formed, but let down a little by soft rotation detents. But it has a solid push button within. And of course all these features are synchronized with the cockpit lighting, provided you run SimApp Pro, their companion software to synchronize the lights to DCS. This gives you on-the-button feedback, which is always really nice to have, being just darn cool. To that, the master caution switch also makes an appearance, which, as jokingly shown, is right next to the emergency jettison, which would have been better on a combat-focused panel, in my opinion. You probably won't mistakenly push it, but well, take a second to check what you're actually pushing in the heat of the moment. Overall, I'm happy. It's a more focused design than their last iteration, covering all the bases for cockpit flight controls, letting you ditch the keyboard and mouse in those crucial moments, keeping you in the sim and eyes out your cockpit, rather than chasing that mouse cursor, which is something you're going to find useful in every flight. Sadly, despite WinWing's general improvements in quality and design, that wing fold switch and handle is not great. It'll work just fine, but it feels very cheap, letting down an otherwise great panel. If you're looking for a simple way to improve your flying experience, this is a reasonable solution, being far cheaper and smaller than a full simulation cockpit. Around $190 or euros with links below. Keep in mind you may have to deal with import duties, VAT and such. At the time of recording, the undoubtedly upcoming Combat Panel 2 is not out yet, to which it would most certainly pair up with very nicely. So, the WinWing Panel of Take 2, based on the Hornet, that diverges for compact functionality and wider compatibility with many aircraft. I hope you enjoyed, and take care.